In this module, we will be looking at a few search techniques and strategies that will help you to conduct more efficient and effective searches. We will begin with field-specific searching, then move on to Boolean operators, phrase searching, truncation and wildcards, and nested searching. Finally, we will end off with a look at a handful of useful search filters to be aware of. A good way to focus a database or catalog search is to specify the field or fields you want to search. Depending on what you're searching, there may be a dozen or more fields to choose from. Most of these are beyond the scope of this module, so we'll only look at 5. Fields are typically selected through a drop-down menu situated immediately next to the search box. In the library catalog, for instance, this drop-down menu is located to the left of the search box. In the database Academic Search Complete, the drop-down menus follow the search boxes on the right. Generally, the default search field is set to keyword. In a keyword search, the entire record of a book, article, or other item is searched for the terms entered. For example, in this catalog record for the Encyclopedia of Nursing Education, a keyword search would look for the search term in the title, the authors, or in this case editors, the publishing information, the physical description, the notes, and the subject headings. If any word in this record were searched in the catalog, this book would be included in the results. Keyword searches are useful, but because the whole record is searched, they can return a lot of irrelevant items. In databases that hold the full text of some or all of the articles they index, you may have the option to search the text of the articles. This field is usually called all text or something similar. Having the ability to search not only the records of items but their contents can be useful, but keep in mind that items returned in your search may only briefly mention the topic of interest to you. The title and author fields are best used when you already know the specific item you are looking for. Enter the first few words of the title and select Title from the drop-down menu, or enter the author's name and select Author from the menu. In some databases, it is necessary to enter the author's last name first, Smith, John, rather than John Smith, so keep that in mind whenever you're searching by author. When you don't know the specific item or items that you want, but are rather looking for materials on a certain topic, you can search by keyword, but it is often better to search by subject. Depending on the database you are using, this field may be called subject heading, subject terms, or simply subject, but the idea behind each is the same. When a book, article, or some other item is indexed in a database, that is, when a record for the item is created, the item is assigned one or more subject terms that define what the item is about. These terms are taken from a controlled vocabulary list to ensure that the subject terms are assigned consistently. Suppose you are writing a paper on the First World War. This ebook would very likely be useful to you in your research. The problem is, if you enter the term First World War in the catalog and search by keyword, you won't find this book. Neither would you find it if you search for World War I. Neither of these terms appear anywhere in the catalog record as the book is titled The Great War. We should notice, however, that the catalog has a subject term assigned to items about the First World War. It is World War 1914 to 1918. If you had already found this item through searching the catalog, you could simply click on the subject term to see a list of other items about World War I. If you're just beginning your search of the catalog, you could find this subject term by entering World War I or First World War in the search box and selecting Subject heading from the drop-down menu. The catalog then refers us to the subject term World War 1914 to 1918. When we click on it, we find a list of more specific subject terms. Because the First World War is such a broad and complex topic, we can narrow our search to a particular subtopic. First World War aerial operations, for example. If we are interested in the works on World War I generally, we simply click on the first subject heading and the catalog displays the list of relevant books and other items. Searching by subject can also be helpful when your search term may refer to very different topics. A search for the word cardinal, for instance, could return results about cardinal numbers, people with the last name Cardinal, Cardinal the religious official, Cardinal the bird, and various sports teams such as the Arizona Cardinals football team and the St. Louis Cardinals baseball team. Clearly, this search would return a lot of irrelevant material. To avoid this problem, we can search for cardinal by subject. Our results list shows all of the subject terms that include the word cardinal. If we were interested in the bird, we could scroll down, find the correct subject term, and click on it for a list of pertinent items. When conducting searches, being aware of which fields you are searching and selecting those that work best with your search terms will increase your chances of getting focused, relevant results. Boolean operators are used to connect multiple search terms in a single search. They can expand or narrow your search results depending on which ones you use. We will look at the three most common Boolean operators, and, or, and not. Though you can type Boolean operators into one-line searches, they are often already built into the advanced search pages of databases. In the business database ABI Inform Global, for example, we can see that the Boolean operators connect the search terms entered in each row. These can be selected from a drop-down menu, while these OR operators are fixed. Be sure to take advantage of these when conducting complex searches. To understand how Boolean operators work, let's look at this Venn diagram. Suppose that all of the articles in the left oval include the word dog, and all of those in the right oval include the word cat. Those in the middle include both. If we search this database for dog and cat, only the articles that include both words will be returned in our search results. We will retrieve fewer results than if we had searched only dog. If, however, we searched for dog or cat, all of the articles that include either word or both words will be returned in our results. This expands our search as we will retrieve more articles than we would have had we just searched for dog. OR is useful when searching for synonyms, such as United States and America. By searching for United States or America, we will retrieve all of the items that include either of the terms. In this way, we ensure that we miss fewer relevant items. Finally, when we search for dog not cat, we retrieve articles that include the word dog except those that also include the word cat. Like the operator AND, not decreases the number of items returned in our search. Use not when you're finding a lot of irrelevant material in your search results that can be easily weeded out by excluding one word from the results. Returning to birds and sports teams, if you are looking for information on Blue Jays, you might search for Blue Jays not Toronto to exclude results about the Toronto Blue Jays baseball team. Be careful when using the not operator, as it can exclude useful sources if the excluded terms aren't chosen carefully. It is often helpful to use Boolean operators in conjunction with nested searching, which we will look at shortly. Phrase searching is a simple but invaluable technique for limiting your search results to items including a specified phrase. If you have a search term that comprises multiple words that must be found together in a particular sequence, place quotation marks around the words in the search box. Then, only results with that exact phrase will be returned in your results. Let's look at one example. We're going to do a very general search for information on First Nations peoples in the database Academic Search Complete. If we simply type First Nations without quotes into the search box and click Search, the database returns about 8,700 results. Many of these are no doubt about First Nations peoples. However, because we did not enclose First Nations in quotation marks, the database will also return all articles that include the words First and Nations anywhere in their records. This article, for instance, has both words in its abstract, but it is not about First Nations peoples. We could have a lot of irrelevant material in this search. By simply enclosing the search term in quotes, we can weed out most or all of these irrelevant articles. Running this new search, we can see that we have fewer than half of the results we had in the previous search. Using quotations to search for exact phrases is a simple and effective way to limit your search results. It can save you the trouble of having to sift through a lot of material that is not about your research topic. Truncation and wildcards are handy tricks to use when your search terms have multiple derivatives or spellings that you'd like to include in your search. The symbols for each can vary from one database to another, but an asterisk is usually used for truncation, while a question mark is often the wildcard symbol. If you are unsure of what to use in a particular database, check its help section. You might often find yourself searching for a word that has one or more derivatives, each of which may return different relevant results. For example, let's suppose we're writing a paper on the portrayal of women in advertisements. We're going to use the database Communication and Mass Media Complete. Two of our search terms will be advertisements and women. So we type in advertisements. This search term will likely return some pertinent results, but it will probably also exclude a lot of useful material. Some relevant articles may instead include the words advertisement, advertising, advertise, or advertisers. It would be helpful if we had a way to search all of these terms at once, so that we miss fewer articles. This is where we can use truncation. Truncation allows us to cut off or truncate a term and search all possible endings to the truncated word. In the case of advertisements, if we replace the EMENTS at the end of the word with an asterisk, the database will search for all words beginning with ADVERTIS. This will include all of the derivatives just mentioned. It is important to be careful to cut off the word at the best spot. If we cut off advertisements after ADV, we would be searching advantage, adverb, advice, advil, and many other irrelevant terms. Our search would be far too broad. On the other hand, if we had searched ADVERTISE asterisk, we would not have retrieved results including advertising. Be wary of this when using truncation. Next, we type women into the second row of the search. In this case, we can use a wildcard to broaden our search. Wildcards typically replace one letter in a word, so if we replace the E in women with a question mark, the wildcard symbol, we will search both the plural women and the singular woman. Some wildcards replace one or zero letters in a word. These are helpful to use when a word has different spellings. Different symbols are often used for different wildcards, so be sure to check the database's help section to find out what each symbol does. And here are our search results. Notice that the database found both women and woman, as well as multiple derivatives of the word advertise. Whenever conducting searches, be sure to consider whether truncation and wildcards will help you broaden your search to find more relevant sources. Nested searching allows you to conduct more complex searches using the Boolean operators we looked at earlier. When conducting nested searches, we enclose part of the search string in parentheses to give the database a kind of order of operations to follow when carrying out the search. Let's suppose we're using the library summon search to find information on how carbon dioxide emissions impact climate change. Using a couple of the search techniques we've already learned, a fairly basic search might look like this: carbon dioxide enclosed in quotation marks, and climate change enclosed in quotation marks. This search will certainly return some useful sources, but many sources may be overlooked because they use different terms. In addition to climate change, we should also search for materials including the term global warming. Because the two terms are roughly synonymous, we will connect them with the Boolean operator OR. But we now have a problem with our search string. Summon will read our search from left to right. This means that it will return results including both carbon dioxide and climate change, or results including global warming, whether or not they also discuss carbon dioxide. To resolve this issue, we can enclose our last two search terms in parentheses, turning them into a nested search. Now, Summon will search for records including the term carbon dioxide and either of the terms climate change and global warming. This is the search we want it to perform. It is also possible to have multiple nested searches in one search string. For instance, if we decided to broaden our search to include other greenhouse gases, we can place carbon dioxide in a nested search with the term greenhouse gases. Now, Summon will return items including either of the first two terms and either of the last two terms. As we discussed earlier, keep in mind that some databases have Boolean operators and nested searches built into their advanced search interfaces. Looking again at ABI and Forum Global, we can see that parentheses are included in the second and third rows already. We don't need to add them. When using these interfaces, take advantage of the Boolean operators and nested search options. Remember, however, that where you place your search terms matters. How the search terms are connected and whether or not they are enclosed in parentheses significantly impacts how the search is carried out. Using Boolean operators in conjunction with nested searches allows you to build complex search strings that can improve the effectiveness of your searches. Finally, let's have a look at search filters. Search filters narrow the results of your search according to special criteria that you set. The filter options available to you will vary from database to database, but there are some common ones you should know about, listed here. Let's look at these filters in the database Education Research Complete. In this database, the search filters are situated under the search boxes. Scrolling down, we can see them all. We'll only talk about 5. First, we have the full text checkbox. Many databases, including Education Research Complete, have the full text of many of the articles they index, but not all. Checking the full text box will filter out all of the articles that the database does not have in full text. This is generally inadvisable, as you will very likely filter out a lot of relevant results. Even if the articles are not available through the database you are searching, they may be available through another database the library subscribes to. If not, you can still order them through interlibrary loan. So, it is usually best to leave the full text box unchecked. It can be helpful to select a document type if you are looking for a particular kind of source. For instance, if you are looking for reviews of a book, you can select Book Reviews to ensure that only book reviews are returned in your results. Perhaps the most used filter is the Scholarly Journals checkbox. If you want to see only peer-reviewed sources in your search results, check this box. The database will then weed out all of the popular and trade publications, returning only scholarly materials. Specifying a publication date is helpful when you're looking for recent research on a topic. Set the beginning date to 5 or 10 years ago and the end date to the current year, and all of the items returned will have been published in the last 5 or 10 years. Lastly, it is sometimes useful to select a language. Many of the library's databases index items that are not written in English. If you are finding that your searches are returning items that are written in languages you can't read, select English to remove them from your results. Search filters can be applied before or after you run a search. The options we have been looking at would be selected before you click Search. However, if you ran your search before applying filters, you can still filter your results from the results page. If we do a quick search for behavioral assessment, we can see many of our filter options to the left of our results. When we make an adjustment, our results list automatically refreshes with the filter applied. Search filters are a handy tool to use to limit your search results to those items you are most interested in. Whenever you're using a new database, have a quick look at the filters to familiarize yourself with the options available. In this module, we have looked at several search strategies and techniques that will help you conduct more efficient and effective searches.